What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 106 of Park to Prem, here with Untitled Chapter. Today, we are wrapping up season number 12, and well, what a weird season it has been. Back in the Championship, not really where we wanted to be, not really where I think we should have been off the back of last year. I thought we did okay, but this year really proved an opportunity, I guess, to give lots of youngsters game time, which is what we've done towards the end, a bit more experimentation as well. And well, the only thing that could really cap off this season would be if this takeover happens. Now, you'll notice it here, I have to talk about it. Alexander Mutkin, every single summer it feels like he has this period where he goes, maybe I'll sell the club this year. It never really happens, we're not under transfer embargo, so it's not super serious yet, but just be aware, if we come back next episode and I'm in tears, or the club has no money left in the bank accounts, maybe we got a dodgy owner or something. Obviously, hopefully that doesn't happen, but be aware. Anyway, before we get into end of season review, I just want to start off with one little thing. I don't want to go on about it too much because I know you're sick to death of me banging the drum about it, but I just want to say thank you to the people who have been supporting me over on Patreon. Absolutely crazy stuff from you guys there. I have added some new bits and pieces to it very, very recently, so I do recommend going and checking it out. The first team regular tier now, you can get the Town or Town save game after the first season. I know some people are going to ask why after the first season and not this current season, and the reason is I don't want people to get the save game and then data mine it and then just tell me all the players that I should be signing and who's good and who's bad. It kind of takes the fun out of it, and it's happened before when I've shared save games whilst I'm still playing them. But there's that. There's also all my custom views which are available, some of my other save games, such as my Liverpool beta save. And additionally, I'm pleased to announce we've got a new tier whereby if you pledge monthly at the Club Legend tier, you're able to name a new gen in the team. You can find more information out on that page there, but I wanted to do some stuff. A load of you suggested that I do it, other people do it here on YouTube. And actually, when I sat and thought about it, I thought it was a really cool benefit. So feel free to check that out in your own time, or don't. I appreciate you just being here and watching, and I'm never going to talk about Patreon for the rest of this series. You have my word. It's done. So, Season 12. I'm now going to bring up my little end-of-season checklist. So, introduction to the season, as I've said, relegated from the Premier League. Relegated, very unfortunately, really. 37 points is a lot of points to get. We had, 64 goals scored for, which is actually really, really impressive. And I was kind of hoping that that would translate into the Championship. And, I'm pleased to say it has done. This season, obviously, we came in, were predicted to finish third. We made some really good additions. We had such a young squad anyway. And over the course of the year, we've just had more and more of our players popping up in the Media Dream 11, to a point now where over half of the team is our players, which is really great to see. Of course, last episode, I ended things on a bit of a cliffhanger, and that was, do we go and sign Smolio? And I've thought about it long and hard, and I think most people are in agreement here. He just wanted too much. And yes, I could have been signing him in his prime, and I could have been looking to sell him on for some money. But in my opinion, he's not a big enough upgrade on Morrigan, if indeed you view him as an upgrade on Morrigan, to justify completely blowing out our wage budget. Because one thing that I've been very, very keen to do here is not offer players too silly a money. Unfortunately, unlike a lot of teams in the Premier League, we don't have a big stadium that we're going to fill out with 50,000 fans. You know, we naturally will just get less money coming in. And so as a result, our wage budget is always going to be a little on the lower side. And with all that in mind, if I start offering, if I give Smolio £120,000, there are going to be the other big players at the team, the likes of Turnbull, the likes of Svetsov, who are going to look around and go, I should be on that kind of money. And suddenly you end up with this big domino effect where everyone wants more money, the wage just goes up and up and up and up and up, and you're in a bit of a pickle. So I didn't want to get into that pickle. I don't like pickles. I just don't. So Smolio, you can stay at Watford. Of course, if he gets sold on to anyone else, we get half the money anyway. So, it's fine, right? Of course, at the start of the season, expectations were high. I did want us to win the league, and it's hard to be happy, I guess, when we finish second, because Southampton were just really, really good. That's kind of what it boiled down to at the end of the day. It's worth noting, I guess, that a couple of years ago when we got promoted from the Championship, finishing second, we got 83 points. This year we got 102 points, which in most other seasons, you can see here, would have been enough to win you the league. Has there ever been a season where two teams have got more than 100 points? No. So it's been a bit of an unprecedented year where ourselves and Southampton were just clearly better than everyone else. You can see we have the exact same goal difference as well, although defensively we weren't quite as good. That was more at the start of the season, actually. When you look at the results here, towards the end, we started to get not a load of clean sheets. I'm not going to go too crazy, but a decent chunk. Morrigan in goal was very, very good. In fact, you can see here, 21 clean sheets kept. Oh my gosh, Shvetsov with 38 goals just seems insane, doesn't it? But yeah, at the start of the year, we came in and, of course, we were relegated. We had a bit of money to spend and we had some players to sell. And we made the big decisions to sell the likes of Kosic, Mr. Dessa and Matcha. Of course, they all had release clauses, so there wasn't a great deal we could do. The best that we could do was try and replace them. And, well, you know what? We made a decent amount of profit in the transfer window. And when you look at some of the players we signed, they made a really, really big difference this year. You know, £26 million on Ox was a monumental risk. I think when you look at this guy now, I don't want to say it's a bargain, but I think it was very good business at the time. I mean, he's 20 years old. He's a fantastic left back. I think wing backs are pretty difficult to come by in Football Manager, especially really, really good ones. He's had a year to play with us, a year to gel into our system, get to grips with everything going on here at the club. And I feel like now he's ready for the step up for the Premier League. If we'd stayed up last year, probably wouldn't have been ready to play in the Premier League for us on the regular, and yeah, he's just developed a ton, and that kind of applies to a decent chunk of the players here. I feel like they really have benefited from a year playing regular Championship football. I'm excited to see what Adrian Highland can do in the Premier League. He reminds me of Andre Dizelle, but with a little bit more quality everywhere, and whilst I guess when you look at our starting 11, he probably is one of the weaker links in terms of overall footballing ability. There's not many deep-line playmakers as good as this guy around that we're ever going to be able to attract. You know, the fact he's English, not on crazy wages, signed for £13.75 million, he averaged a 7.51 average rating this year. Across the board, there were some really, really impressive ratings. Of course, players like Cece didn't really hit the ground running, but he was always coming in as a backup anyway, and he did his job there. He didn't get sent off this year, so that's an improvement on his previous season here at the club. Because other players that we signed, just as a reminder, players like Andre and Volta, these are players for the future. Andre joined us with, I think, 9 passing, and I remember reading some comments saying, Jack, he's going to be a rubbish midfielder with 9 passing. With a little bit of persistence, with a little bit of training focus on that passing, it's gone up by 2 already, and his vision's gone up by 2 as well. He could really turn into something special. I genuinely believe that. It's such a shame he's inconsistent. It's a similar story, I guess, with Volta, who, of course, was another big signing for us. Inconsistent, but a sign of the progression that we have been making. Because, to be honest, a lot of these players we probably wouldn't have been able to sign during our first year in the Premier League. Our reputation, despite the fact we went down, has actually improved in terms of the overall quality of players that we can attract. Of course, we've got Lazarus as well, naturally a centre mid. We've converted him to a wing-back. I think he could be a really, really good wing-back, of course. Very experienced for the Greek national team. And, well, you might be looking through these players thinking they're all very young, and you'd be absolutely correct to think that. You know, these players that we've signed, the likes of Andre, the likes of Volta, Ox, Lazarus, Highland even at 21, so young. If we were in the Premier League, probably wouldn't have been able to play many of them. But because they've had, you know, in some cases half a season, in most cases a full season, a regular first-team football in our kind of tactical setup, I feel like I'm just ready to let them have a go in the Premier League. And in fact, I was thinking about the summer transfer business that we may end up doing. I'm sat looking at our under-23s thinking, there's probably £40 million worth of players sat around here. You know, a player like Vasily Ignatovic never quite developed as we wanted, was relegated this year playing for Cardiff on loan, did not play well on his loan spell, got sent off once on the final day of the season. You know what, if I could sell him on for, I don't know, £7 million his value, that would probably be pretty good business, especially when you consider we signed him for £100,000, you know. And this has always been a long-term plan here, was to sign a load of players, get them into the under-23s with a view of selling them on for money. It's kind of how we have to work. And when you look across the team, there's a lot of players here now who are in their early kind of 20s, 20, 21, who evidently they're just not going to be ready for this level of football, you know, playing in the Premier League. A few people talked about, I hope I'm going to be able to find him here, Omar Gok. Where are you, Gok? Omar Gok here is a good example of someone who I saw a few comments saying, Jack, you could play Gok at wing-back next year. You know, he's been out on loan, he's been doing his thing. He has 3 tackling and 7 marking and 6 positioning. That is not Premier League quality, and he's quite a good winger, don't get me wrong. But if I could get £5 million for him, I'd be relatively happy. At 19 years old, I know he's still pretty young. He's actually going to be 20 in a couple of days. I don't see a world where he's ever going to be a big upgrade. If we can sell him on and maybe get a percentage of profit clause in there, I'd be relatively happy at this point. He's proven himself this year to be a top League One quality player, but do I see him as a Premier League option in our team? Not really, and he's not even going to fit our system anyway because he can't. I'm not playing him at wing back. Even if he's natural at wing back, I'm not playing him there. He's rubbish at it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I realise that I've kind of ruined the ordering here by talking about some of the transfer stuff, but I feel like it all feeds into this coming season where I'm just going to be putting faith in things. It was a long-term plan this year. It would have been very easy to go out there and splurge on, two really top-quality players at £30 million each. But instead we kind of went with a long-term strategy, I suppose. Anyway, you can see here some of the season awards. Andrei Shvetsov, Fans Player of the Year with 58%. Turnbull and Highland, close seconds, which is a bit of a shame, really. Adrian Rodriguez got Goal of the Year. Let's take a look at it. It was against Brentford. I feel bad for Rodriguez because there was a point where I was really high on him and I thought he was going to be really, really good. He started superbly and then he turned full-blown Molyneux in the Premier League and just did nothing, which is a bit of a shame. And obviously, I don't mean he's not done anything in the Premier League. What I mean is he just kind of fizzled out as the year went on. He didn't play badly per se, but he can play centre-attack in mid. It may be where he ends up playing. With us going into the Premier League this coming year, I feel like I would just like to add a bit more quality and depth. That was the one thing we really lacked previously in the Premier League, was we just didn't have the strength and depth. Our wage budget is going to be about double what it was last time we were promoted. We have twice the budget. I'm very confident on that we can stay up. Are these highlights going to load? I just want to see Rodriguez's goal. I hope it was worth the wait. I guess we can talk about some of the other players here that you can see on this screen. So obviously, Morrigan in goal, Ox, Maggi, Douglas and Lazarus at the back. That is a back five that I think we will be putting faith in next year. If I was going to improve anywhere, it would probably be the centre-back position, but I have had a little quick kind of look myself at what centre-backs are available, and I'm not convinced there's really one who's going to offer an upgrade. So with that in mind, we might end up sticking with what we've got. Anyway, Highland to Rodriguez. He brings it forward. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? Oh, that was actually quite a good goal. That probably would have been my goal of the season. Sometimes you get the goals of the season and it's awful. I think our one last year was like that. But not this time. Anyway, you can see here, Highland picked out as signing of the season, which is a pretty big compliment to be paid. Yeah, he's been so good for us, of course. More recently, we've started shifting him to play as a deep line playmaker, as a defensive mid, as part of our new system. And that is going to be something new for him to learn. But at the same time, he's already way on the way to being, comfortable in that position, and he's still very, very good. A few people talked about maybe playing him on deep line playmaker on defend. He just can't tackle. I am a little bit mindful with our current setup that we might be leaving ourselves defensively exposed. Obviously, there's a few ways we could potentially solve that. We could move the wing-backs a bit deeper, maybe swap out the centre-mid for a more defensive option, potentially even just drop the defensive mid into another centre-back, and then just play with two centre-mids, maybe a deep-line playmaker here alongside a box-to-box midfielder. I think the good thing about our current squad and our current system is I know where there might be problems, but we already have the solutions to those problems. What I've got here is what I think is going to work, and if it doesn't, we can react. We don't need to panic massively. I've talked about the centre-back position. I've got a few prospects coming into the club this year who I'm quite excited about. We've got Saretta here, who we signed from Gremio. We've signed this guy for, I think it was £100,000. We can probably check somewhere here. £170,000. To me, he looks like he could be a reasonably good backup centre-back at 18 years old. It's a shame about his inconsistency and his poor adaptability. He might encounter problems getting comfortable in the country. Of course, the one thing that really goes in our favour there is we've got a lot of Brazilians at the club, so hopefully they can make him feel welcome. We've also got Makovsky, not an immediate solution, but a player who I think could be very, very good at centre-back, already capped for the Macedonian national team. I think he was capped age 16, which is absolutely insane. He looks very, very good. It's a shame his heading's so bad. Now, we've also got Chini joining us as well. So, defensively, there's no one who's really coming in who's going to reinvent our defence. I'm quite set on our defence right now, but these additions we've got coming in, Chini I will probably train to play left wing-back. I know he's not super great there, but at 20 years old, he's got some good potential, looks quite good. And I don't know. I mean, these players are all very, very young. That's kind of always been my goal here. You'll notice some other transfer dealings. I wasn't going to talk about them just yet, but why not talk about them now? So, I have signed a player called Charlie Brown. I feel like I need to call him Snoopy or something. I don't know. Snoop Dogg? It's a bit on the nose, isn't it? Either way, 20 years old, was on loan at Lille this year from Guingamp, where he only played 2 games in Ligue 1. But I really, really like this guy. I've had my eye on him for a while because he used to play up front with Turnbull for the England under-20s. Now, Turnbull's career went on and he moved into the under-21s. Charlie Brown didn't get that same chance. And he's a great young English striker for 7.25 million. And that's quite a lot of money. But, and here's the big but, this is why this is a big brain play. On the outs, Achibar, who he signed on a free transfer at the start of this year, has played 23 games and done nothing. We are in the process of selling for about £17 million. If that happens, if that deal goes through, and it's a bit risky because it's at the contract negotiation stage, as you can see here, and I've already agreed to sign Charlie Brown, but assuming it all goes through and the contract's accepted, we're going to be £10 million richer, losing a player who actually, I think when you compare him to Charlie Brown, obviously he's 6 years older, I don't think he's as good a player. And also we have, a more similar player to Ryan Achibar in the club already, with, of course, our big winter addition, Nikki Richards, who didn't do anything too crazy this year, but actually popped up with a decent number of goals on off the bench. And, I think he, when you compare him to Achibar, pretty similar players, I would say he's just a better version. Meanwhile, when you compare him to Charlie Brown, I feel like they could be 2 really nice options actually just to have on the bench. I feel like between those 2 strikers, they are really good alternatives to Shvetsov and to Turnbull. If we just compare the 2 here, you can see they're kind of different, You might think that Charlie Brown is a bit similar to a player who we let go. You might remember in January, if we just look at our sales here, Ryan Bowley, who I at one point, once upon a time, was quite excited about. He is 21 years old, as you can see. If we just compare him to Charlie Brown, I know which player I would rather have. I mean, you can make up your own mind. Just as a reminder, we sold Bowley for, I think it was £8.5 million. We've signed Charlie Brown for less than that, so I just think, good business. I'm patting myself on the back here. I think that we've done some really good business already. I guess 2 more players we can talk about really quick. First one, a bit of a weird one. We have Blaine Neal here, who plays for Blunkett under-18s. Now, Blunkett are a Northern Irish team that don't seem to play in like a professional league. They're an amateur club, right? But then they have a player who is capped for the national team, which seems bizarre that no one else has found this guy and decided to pick him up. So he's 18 years old. We're going to sign him. I'm not a massive fan of his rubbish finishing composure or off the ball, but you know what? He's 18 years old. We have signed him for a grand total of £250. I mean, I could have got a new laptop to play Football Manager in my Football Manager world, but no, I've decided to go out there and sign a Northern Irish wonder kid. And the last player that we're in the process of signing, and you might notice he's on quite a lot of money, is Gissiel, who looks absolutely bonkers. Yes, he looks very, very good indeed. You can see here he's a centre attacking mid. Well, I'm going to be playing him as a centre attacking mid. I know some people are going to look at this and go, Jack, you don't need a striker. You're absolutely right, I don't. But I could really do with a really good attacking midfielder on attack. And he's definitely one of those. So we're looking to sign him. His contract's actually up in December, but I'm willing to pay £9 million to get him here and now. Everything looks absolutely spiffing, except the fact he's injury prone. And I have had a little peek, and it's not good reading. Oh gosh. But we're going to hope he can stay fit. We're going to hope he doesn't get too seriously injured. And I think he could be a really good player for us. He's only 25 years old as well. Signed from Palmeiras. So exciting times. I think he could be like the big transfer that we've made this year. Anyway, I wasn't meant to talk about transfers. I was meant to go through some of my player awards. So let's do that now. It's all been off the rails today. So my player of the year. Who am I going to give my player of the year to? I mean, you can look at the average ratings here, and I might be. This might catch you all as a surprise. I'm going to be going with Shvetsov. I'm going to agree with our fans. You can't really pick anyone else, can you? He's got 38 league goals and 13 assists in 46 matches. That is insane. He's played 127 games for the club. I'm hoping that we can make him a one-club player now. And this has been his best ever average rating. It's kind of interesting, actually. When you look at every year, it's gone up by 0.01 every year. So look forward to the 7.56 average rating season coming next year. But yeah, when you compare his numbers to his last stint in the Championship, just banging in a few more goals, actually started a good deal more games. He actually played every single game this year. I guess close second would be Dylan Turnbull, who got 24 goals. Ordinarily, if you get 24 goals and go up, that player who scored 24 goals is your top goal scorer. It's just we're not really an ordinary club. But this year he's been playing for the under-21s. He's actually been developing a ton as well. I've been really impressed by how much his finishing has been improving, because that was always the big gap in Turnbull's game. It was 8 finishing when we started. It's now up to 12. It's actually plateaued a little here. And I think the reason for that is I've been mixing it around with additional focuses. This is something that I had recommended to me years ago and I kind of forgot about it, but I have started doing it more. And that is with your additional focuses, have 2 that you alternate between, like every 3 or 4 months, just to, freshen up training for the player. And it seems to give you a bit better outcome. So for him, I've been training him at shooting, and then I'll move him on to first touch, or ball control rather, to help with the ball control, and then we go back to shooting. That's just kind of been how I've been doing it. So that's why he's only just come back on to shooting, which might explain why it's plateaued. Maybe it can be 13 by the start of the new season. He really has been improving a lot, so that feels quite possible. Anyway, surprise package of the year. Now, the obvious answer here would be Highland, because I thought he'd be good, but I didn't quite realise how good he was going to be. But I'm actually going to give it to Lazarus, which might seem a bit ridiculous, because he's one of the highest earning players at the club. But the reason I'm so surprised about him, just as a player, is I didn't really know how he was going to do at right back. The only reason I signed this guy is because I couldn't find a right back, and he was a centre mid who could kind of play right back and could kind of play right wing back. The great thing is, because he has really high versatility, he's picked up both those positions really, really well. You can see he's now naturally a right back. Hopefully he will be naturally a right wing back before too long. And he put in some really great performances in the wide area. 12 assists for a wing-back is good. That is like Alexander-Arnold levels, really. £12 million spent, so you hope for a good return. But with defenders in Football Manager, it's always... I guess I feel like it's always a bit hit and miss. And it was very much hit with him. So Lazarus is my surprise package. Most improved is a weird one. I almost want to give it to Andre just for the development of his passing, because I feel like he proved a lot of people wrong. But in terms of other players who have really improved, Morrigan, I think he deserves a mention. He has improved a lot this year. I don't know if he's had many... Well, you can see here, he's had quite a lot of attributes that have gone up by 1 whole point in his first ever year at the club, which is crazy, because he's 25 years old. He's not a young goalkeeper, but he's a bit of a late bloomer, obviously. He came through at Valencia. He was signed by AC Milan for £11 million, and he even had a loan spell at Liverpool where he was a backup keeper. So this was a player who was quite highly rated, but we picked him up for £1 million as his contract was expiring. He's been in the media dream 11 for the second half of the year, and he's improved an absolute ton for a 25-year-old. So I'm hoping he's just going to continue to improve. He looks really, really good, and I feel like we might have found an incredible bargain at £1 million in Morrigan. So it might seem like a bit of a weird one, because he's not a young player, but most improved player, Morrigan. Clubman, the player who served the team well. I'm going to give it to Shuttleworth, because he's got 11 league goals this year. That's a pretty decent return, but the reality is he's never done it in the Premier League. And with our improvement in overall quality, he's not going to get a chance to do it in the Premier League, I don't think, next year. Not only does he not really fit the new system, but I just don't have any faith in him to step up, which feels a little heartbreaking to say, but that is just kind of the sad reality of it. So I'm going to give him Clubman, because he's in his 7th year here at the club, and you can see he's had a really good stint, bar that 1 year in the Premier League. I just fear it's going to be more of that. And when I look across our team now, I don't anticipate us to go down. I look at our team and I go, we should stay up in the Premier League this year. We are so much better than we were last time. We have potential, we have room to grow. I actually think that this is a team with very few signings, could be fighting for European football in 2 or 3 seasons. I think we're really good, and I think this relegation has actually helped us a ton. I mean, look at our club balance, £60 million there. Our wage budget, as I said, that is double what we had last promotion. And unfortunately, players like Shuttleworth, players like Molyneux, who I could have given Clubman to, but he was absolutely useless in front of goals, so he doesn't deserve it. But they're players who I'm going to be keeping around because they're homegrown at club, and that is useful if we do make it to Europe in the not so distant future. But yeah, don't expect to see them on the pitch much for Taylor going forward. In terms of disappointment of the year, I think I'd actually give it to Ryan Achibar. I didn't know how well he was going to do. He looked pretty good, right, on paper. Former Bayern Munich guy, but he was released by them and no one had made an offer to sign him after he was released. So you kind of wonder, is there a catch there? And there is. He can't score. I guess the only thing that might save this guy from being a massive disappointment that gets cemented in my mind is the fact that we are in the process of hopefully selling him for £17 million, at which point he is completely forgiven and he's served his purpose. But right now, I'll have him as the disappointment. If there was going to be anyone else who I give disappointment to, I guess Stefanovic might be one. It might seem a little unfair because he didn't really get many opportunities, but he's kind of been underwhelming for 2 years in a row, particularly this year. I know he didn't play too many times, but when he did play, he didn't do that great. He got sent off and cost us an EFL Cup run, and I'm probably going to end up selling him, and we might not even make our money back on him, but I just, again, don't really see how he fits in the first team, and Shuttleworth is homegrown, so it makes sense to keep him around. You can see there's already teams interested. I've got him transfer listed as well. I don't know if we'll get £6.5 million. I think I'm a little ambitious there, but who knows? We'll wait and see. So anyway, in terms of a little statistical overview of the team, we can have a look here at the stages, and that's fine, I guess. I mean, we've already looked at this now that I think about it. But if we go to the stats, team goals 101 in our favour. That is a crazy amount. We actually ended the year, you can see here, 11 games without losing. We had a really good end to the season. Of course, there were actually 2 matches since the last episode. We won against Reading and we drew against Portsmouth. They weren't that excellent. We were already up. You know, I was kind of just messing around with formations and, you know, playing players out of positions and what. You can see here, average possession. We were really high up in this chart, and that's something that I want us to be more, you know, more of the same really in the Premier League. And that's going to be tricky to boss possession like we do at this level. But we've got a lot more quality in our team, and I feel like with this system, we're not going to be stretched as thin as when we played our 4-2-4 last year, because we always got ran over in the midfield. Might be a little bit of a concern in the wide areas if teams like to do overlaps, but I just kind of look at our team here and this system and think we should be able to do okay with the ball here. We have a good compact shape, is pretty good defensively, and I'm kind of excited to hopefully see it bully some Premier League big boys. I definitely think that that's on the cards. Of course, we will have to wait and see. If we just look at team detailed, you can see here the possession stats. In terms of average attendance, we're second from bottom. I mean, that might be the first year in a very, very, very long time where we've not been bottom. So take that, Walsall. Only 74% full, but I imagine with us going to the Premier League, away days are going to be a little bit bigger. Obviously, you can see here the net transfer spend. We are right down there at the bottom with Southampton, who also went up. Both of us selling on players for a big deal of money. In terms of the wages, this is a bit of a contrast to last time we were here. We're 5th in the charts here. Of course, without Premier League money, we would not be able to continue spending that kind of money. But the good news is we're going up. We're going to be counting the big ones again. And it's going to help us out a lot. Anyway, you can see the season review here. Runners up in the Championship, 71% full, 27 players used. That's actually quite low by our own standards. I have a chance here to view the expectations. Oh, I hate the sign high reputation players and make the most of set pieces, but I'm just going to go with them. Expectation is fight bravely against relegation. I mean, I'm getting a weird sense of deja vu here, everyone. You can also do an end of season team meeting. With the right additions, we can avoid the drop. Do you really think we're capable of surviving, says Ryan Achibar. Well, mate, we're selling you, so I don't really give a damn what you say. And of course, it's the likes of Achibar, Molyneux, Shuttleworth. You're not good enough for the Premier League. I know, apparently it's too ambitious to say we could try and drop. I won't settle for anything less. Everyone take a mental screenshot of those people that we just saw on the right. Remember their names, because they won't be in the first team next year. It's a bad mentality to have. You can see here, apparently, Lazarus is making great development and would be a Premier League player for most sides. I mean, love to see that. Of course, just speaking off the pitch, we talked a lot about what's going on the pitch. Off the pitch, training facilities are going to be upgraded again this year, which is great. Youth development is going very, very well. Sonny Best has completed his leadership course. I probably could make a few more requests now I think about it. Is there anything exciting here? Not really. I guess that's going to be a physios and coaches for the under-23s, I'm pretty certain. But yeah, continued improvements off the pitch. It was always a weird year, this one, really, wasn't it? Because there was such a big expectation on us to just go back up. And so I was always confident that we would do it. We have the quality to do it. I mean, this screen speaks volumes for that. But it was kind of, about laying a foundation. And I really feel like we've laid a foundation here. I would love to know who your current favourite player in the team is. But yeah, just on the whole, when I look through this team, obviously, it's unusual. When you get promoted to the Premier League, usually your big issue is, I need a goal scorer who can score in the Premier League. We have two players who are incredible strikers. We're not going to be struggling for goals next year. That's a certainty. Defensively, we started to shore things up quite a lot. I feel like we're still lacking a little bit of quality in the midfield, if I'm honest. Of course, if we'd been playing our older system, that would have been in the wide attacking midfielder positions. With the recent changes we've had, you kind of now shift focus to the centre mids and go, that's probably where things need to change going forward. But yeah, that's kind of been this year. It's been an odd one. You can see here in terms of general, Shvetsov has now entered the club legends realm alongside the likes of Kumwenda and Andre Dazelle. Some people have been asking about Dazelle. He's in the museum. He's sat in the under-23s having a party. I will just compare him to Adrian Highland so you can see why he's not been playing this year. I think it's a little obvious why he's not been playing this year. At 32 years old, he's never had particularly good physicals. They're already starting to go full-blown potato best. Bless him. He's got 2 years left on his contract. I might offer him a little extension. Can I tell him to maybe become a coach or something? No. I'd love to keep a few more of our players on as coaches. I was thinking about Sonny Best recently, thinking he'd be a good little coach. Maybe we can still try and make that happen. Anyway, I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about, really, because it's been such an odd year. It kind of feels like it's flown by. It was a bit of a formality, and I know for some people their interest this season has waned a little, which I totally understand because of how one-sided it was going to be. I feel like I don't want to say it was a foregone conclusion that we were going to go back up, but obviously I was always relatively confident of it, and the means by which we did it, actually, we really turned our year around. There was this period here at the start where we struggled. We weren't very good. Of course, we had a few good little runs. I think a lot of that was just kind of a getting to know each other period. We had so many new members joining our defence, and the attack hasn't changed a great deal. The midfield, obviously, plenty of new faces here as well. But I still feel like we've got that Towlaw DNA in our squad right now, which is really nice to be able to see. And there's players like Maticevic coming up through the youth team who probably will play a fairly frequent role in the first team next year, which is definitely something to look forward to. But anyway, rather than waffle on, because I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about, I'm going to end things here. If there is anything I haven't talked about in this episode that you would like to see, please do let me know. Just in terms of the football leagues, just so you can see who's gone up and who's gone down. The season isn't actually over yet, but there is a chance that Wolves go down. Stoke also possibly could go down, or Brighton. They're the teams there. Mr. Dessa, of course, playing for Wolves. Or could we bring him back? Meanwhile, if we just have a quick look at League One and the league table, I don't know why it doesn't work when you click the league table there. If we look at the league table, you can see Rotherham and Preston going up. QPR and Millwall, who I believe were relegated recently, have not bounced up back up immediately. Meanwhile, Sunderland, who were back in League One for the first time in a little while, back down they go. Yes, I feel like we are now officially the second biggest team in the North East. Meanwhile, if we just look at League Two, I know people like to look at this kind of stuff. You can see the teams here. I feel really bad for South Shields. They have been yo-yoing up and down for a little while. Hereford, who did have a few of our players on loan at them this year, they finished 16th in their first season in League Two. So that's pretty good stuff for them. Of course, Koval in goal for them. I'm quite excited about Koval. I'm mad to be. He looks good to me. I think we're going to try and get him a loan to a League One team if we can next year, or a Championship team. But the big thing is regular first team football. Maybe he could follow in the footsteps of Morrigan and be one of these kind of very, very late bloomers. That would be nice to see, wouldn't it? But anyway, I could ramble on forever. I'm not going to do that. Tomorrow we start a new season. I hope to see you all there for that. Season 13. It's unlucky for some. We're in the Premier League, aren't we? That's going to be fun. There's going to be loads of crazy transfers going on as well. I'm sat here now going, we're going to be sensible with our money. Don't trust me to be sensible. You'll probably come back and Smolyo will just be in the team, and I probably won't be able to justify it in any way. That's usually how these things go. But yeah, that is all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Really do appreciate the support on the series, especially if you are someone who watches these episodes. I didn't talk about it earlier, but of course I had a bit of a rest day yesterday, just a day off to enjoy my Friday evening where I would normally record for the following day. Feeling nice and refreshed today. I hope that came through in the video. Tomorrow, Season 13. I'll see you then. It's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.